it's not going to produce that much stuff when you're talking about, you know, in a fair amount of land here. There's just this patch right here we're standing in is, let's see, 150 by 50. You know, it's not acres or any sort of thing like that, but that's just one of about 5 garden areas we have here. It takes a tremendous amount of stuff to even put a you know, 1/4-inch level of cow manure in a patch like this, or chicken manure. So, you know, this sort of thing is, again, unless you're having a big old herd of cattle, the idea that you can do everything truly self-sufficient organically is kind of a myth, because where are you going to get the stuff from? You know, your compost pile from an average family of 4 or 5 people is not going to be large enough to truly support the gardens and the area needed to grow the same amount of food for that same family. So you're going to have to import stuff one way or the other. And yes, we do use commercial fertilizers from time to time and such like that. My thoughts on it are, as somebody preparing for potentially bad things to happen, is I look at the soil also as a bank. All right, if I'm just using rabbit manure and such like that, all right, I'm putting pennies, you know, in the bank as far as fertility. All right, now if something happens and I need to draw out of there, I don't have a lot really to bank on. Okay, but now if I'm putting in some of the commercial fertilizers and things like that, where it's going to reduce or increase the fertility a tremendous amount, and really only have losses of say the nitrogen and things like that with our more or less sand-based soil here, you know, have any immediate losses like that. Well, I look at that as then I have a higher amount of fertility in my soil bank. Okay, so if something happens and I'm cut off from outside sources, okay, be it you know, Jono the farm guy that can bring me in a tractor trailer load of horse manure every year, okay, if I was doing it totally organic, or, you know, Petco Farm and Feed or whatever, where I could go and buy, you know, 10 or 15 bags of 10-10-10 or something. If I'm cut out from outside sources for a long period of time, I want to have my soil fertility as high as I possibly can to begin with. Okay, so again, this is where we differ from organic gardening and such like that in our theories on this stuff. Again, we're talking about when bad stuff happens. And again, if unless you have a large herd of like cows or something like that, you're just not going to produce enough on your own homestead to really not have to rely on outside sources. The better organic farmers gardeners and things like that, usually they all bring in something from outside sources. If somebody tells you they're growing enough food for a family of 5 and it's all done on their property, they're never outsourcing anything, well, they're either pretty darn good, like Steve Solomon type good, or they're full of crap, because it's not possible to really enrich the soil, or they got some great soil to begin with and they're just depleting the amount that they're bringing in. So we'll show you this again here in a little while after it's been disc harrowed and stuff, and you'll see what it's going to do is we're going to turn a lot of the residue from these last couple of crops, and even just, you know, the cover crop that was left on here, which really for this summer was just weeds and whatever was left over. You saw bits and pieces of of corn cobs and corn stalks and things like that. Also from some of the beans left over and things like that. Some of them regrew. This is, you know, a cover crop doesn't have to be your picture perfect you know, legume or something like that. A cover crop can be a stand of grass. You know, it's you're turning green manure back into the soil. You're keeping the cover crop on there so your soil doesn't wash away or blow away if you're in like the Midwest or a western state where you get a high amount of wind or something like that. So we'll show you it again after we get it all disc and ready for planting. And here is some of the area we showed earlier where the crop residues and such were fixing to be disked into the ground. One thing, of course, if you're from the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest, or, you know, pretty much anywhere other than the South down here, we have some pretty poor soils on average. And the state we're in, in the northern part, it runs to be a heavy clay type soil, and in the southern part here, it tends to be more of a sandy kind of grayish soil and such. And this typical color on this type of soil right here is more of a darker gray. But just to give you an idea here, you would not get this type and this tilth of soil in this area if you had not been doing things to build up the soil. Okay, the only way you'd get soil that looked like this if you weren't doing anything to build it up would be if you bought it out of bags from the store. Okay, and let me tell you what, I am way too cheap to do that, and I grow too large of an area to buy to bring in my own dirt. A couple of raised beds, yeah, no problem. Bring in your own dirt, save yourself some time in developing your soil, all that good stuff. But just wanted to show you guys here a lot of good organic material we tilled in and such like that, or we disc in rather. And again, this is just every year do something to help your soil. Every season and such. Got a little bit more disking to do in this particular area here. And oh, it's a dog. Oh, there's my dog. Oh, little inside joke there. But goes on bread. The point is, you know, do something to your soil, as we said before. And what we're going to do next is we're going to look at a sample soil test and to see what we would need to do to prepare the soil for a planting.